Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of Compassion and Courage, Conversations in Healthcare. I'm your host, Marcus Engel, and this is the podcast where we teach compassionate communication, provide perspective, and inspire resilience. And today, we're not only doing all of those things, but we are also having the celebration because it is Nurses Week. So I wanted to bring to you not only one of the greatest nurses I know and that I've had the privilege of knowing for probably close to the last 10 years, but also a fine leader in nursing and all of hospital and healthcare. And so I want to introduce to you my friend, Heather Schimmers. Heather, thank you so much for being with me for Nurses Week.
Oh, Marcus, I am so flattered and honored that you asked me to spend some time with you. You know, you are one of my most favorite humans, so thank you.
Oh, you are very sweet. You are very sweet, and I'm excited to get to talk to you a little more in depth. It usually seems like whenever we see each other, we're running around at conferences or events, and I'm so glad to be able to get to spend some time with you.
Me too. I look forward to it.
Good deal. Good deal. So I failed to give your position and some of your background because I know you just had a really big announcement yesterday. So can you introduce us with your new venture?
Yes, I would love to. This is a new day for me. My background, actually, I'm still taking a little time to get used to it, but we just launched our new brand yesterday. So we are becoming Emplify Health. A Gunderson Health System, which is based out of La Crosse, Wisconsin, has merged with Bellin Health System, which is based out of Green Bay, Wisconsin. And we are becoming a unified health system under the name Emplify. So we are really excited about that. My role in the organization is I am the president of the Gunderson region. So we take one side of the geography, and then the Bellin region takes the other side of the geography. We're in 4 states, which is pretty exciting. So good stuff happening and big moves. And I love that we picked the name Emplify. It is a neologism, and it is empathy and amplified mashed together, because that is at the core of who we are and what we do.
I really like the name. Really like the name.
Thank you. It seems to be really resonating with a lot of folks. So that's good news.
Good. I'm so glad to hear that. Congratulations on all the new changes. And so tell us, like, what's your daily role? What do you do on the daily to help your people?
Oh boy, that's
You
a
do a
really
lot
good
of
question.
things, I know.
I ask myself that all the time. What do I do? What is my job? Well, I get the greatest fortune of leading some of the most incredible folks I have ever had the opportunity to work with. So the way I envision my role in this organization is I sit at the executive committee table where we develop our strategic plan. We are the visioners, right? We're constantly thinking 5 years out, if not further than that. What is it going to look like? And then my job is to bring that back into inspire and innovate and be creative with this incredible group of humans that I get to work with every day to figure out how we're going to accomplish it. What are we going to do different? How are we going to set ourselves apart in this crazy healthcare landscape that we're all living in? And organize around that and make sure our processes are in place and that we've become really nimble and agile and making sure that we can pivot quickly when things aren't going the way they need to be going. So that's really how I would describe my day. I'm accountable to our success in achieving our strategic plan. And it is a really fabulous strategic plan that I think is going to continue to position us really, really well. I believe firmly both of our health systems, as we've merged together, have been around for over a century. And I take that so seriously that it is my responsibility to position us to be around for another century. We owe it to the communities that we are in and the people we serve.
So with the idea of the people that we serve, I assume service has always been kind of part of your DNA. When did you make the choice to go into nursing and then ultimately to go into leadership?
Oh man. So I wish that I had some really amazing story about how I chose nursing, but I'm going to be really honest with you and tell you how that happened. When I went to college, I was very, very interested in music, and I wanted to use music in any way, shape, or form I could to, I think, serve people at the end of the day. And I chose the college I chose because they had a music therapy program. And right, I'm not going to tell you how long ago that was, and that was revolutionary. That was really new and innovative and creative, and a new therapy program coming forward. So I enrolled off. I went to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, a small town girl moving to a big city. I didn't know a soul there, and got started in this program. But unfortunately, about 3 semesters into my program, they dropped it. They dropped the music therapy program, and I had to pivot and make a really quick decision. So I was meeting with my college advisors, and they said to me, you know, you're pretty strong in science. Have you ever thought about a career in science? And I was like, well, I do love science, but I don't even know what that could be. And they said, well, what about nursing? Have you thought about nursing? And I'm like, I haven't really thought about nursing, but let's give it a shot. Let's give that a shot. Well, I will tell you, it is the greatest advice I have ever received in my lifetime. So I graduated from nursing school. I quickly dipped my toe into many, many different forms of nursing. I think you've come to know me over the years and realize I'm a pretty curious person. So I wanted to investigate and explore all the different aspects of nursing. And I will never forget the day that I shadowed in an operating room. And that was the moment that I went, oh my gosh, I made the exact right decision in my career. This is where my love of science and my love of people and humans come together. And I got to see the science of the human body every single day, which was really fascinating. So my nursing practice was primarily, I would say, focused in the operating room, spent a lot of time there. And that's really where my leadership journey started too. I kept getting kind of picked out to, hey, come help us with this project, or help us with this project, or hey, we're opening a surgery center. We'd love to have a nurse's perspective on the design. And I got to be the one that got to help design surgery centers all of a sudden. And I found myself in these really interesting spots, and quickly elevated in some leadership roles. And that's really how it started. I don't know that I ever really sought them out, but more I was asked to serve. And the one thing I have learned in my career is that I typically will not say no to a new opportunity, regardless of how scary and ridiculous it seems to me at the time that someone's asking me to do that. But it has served me well. And my journey has just gone from supervisor in an operating room to director in an operating room to a vice president of a regional system to the chief nursing officer for a large state system. And now I find myself here in this organization as the president. And I just am thrilled, and I love what I do.
I love that they have a nurse in the president's seat.
Me too.
Yeah,
Me too.
yeah.
That's part of why I really was fascinated when I was being recruited to this organization, because the recruiter called me and said, you know, the original position that I applied for pre-merger was a chief operating officer slash chief nursing officer combined role. And I was fascinated by that concept because I kept saying one can't function without the other, that those roles are so interdependent on each other that I sometimes wonder why we don't just mash those together, because a really effective operations has to understand nursing and has to understand the flow of nursing. So that is what drew me to this organization, is they saw the same vision that I saw with that position. So yes, I am thrilled that I get to represent not only the organization and leadership, but I get to proudly wear RN on my badge every day.
Love it. And with the RN and the MBA background, you're very much fit for this job. So I'm so glad to know you. I'm so glad you're in such a great organization too.
Thank
I
you.
wanted to I wanted to ask you like kind of the basic question of nursing. You've heard me keynote, and you know the story of Jennifer and her presence in the emergency room. And I always post this question to my pre-meds at the beginning of every semester. and that is to share about a time that has where a person has been there for you, or that you have been there for another person. A time that somebody has been there for you, or that you have been there for another person. I imagine with a career spanning a couple of decades in nursing, you've had quite a few of those times, both as someone who has cared for others, and then just being a human being, having others care for you. Is there a time that you can share that reflects on that question?
Well, knowing you as well as I do, I had a pretty strong hunch you were going to ask me that question. So I have been pondering that and really thinking about that. And um, I am going to share a time in my life that was really hard. It was a really difficult stage of my life. And what a few humans did for me has just resonated with me, and I will never ever forget it. And I think it is similar to your situation. They were just there at the exact right moment that I needed them. So I was going through a really significant life transition with my marriage, and um, I had a very short amount of time to move myself and my two young children out of our home, and I was alone. I had one person that I could have helped me with this. And I worked for an amazing organization in southern Wisconsin called Upland Hills Health, and I was the director of the operating room there. And I had to take a day off, which I rarely did, and was sharing with some folks like, I'm moving to this duplex. I'm going to get this all taken care of, and then I'll be back in business. And work was always my safe place and my escape from some of the chaos and the reality of what was happening in my personal life. But I was worried about it, and I knew that that day was going to be really, really painful and difficult as I was making that life transition and had to make a really important decision that I knew would really kind of change the shape of my path and my life. And the day I showed up at my home to move my things out, I parked in the driveway and opened my car door, and there were three men standing on my patio. One was the chief operating officer, one was the chief financial officer, and one was the chief human resources officer of the health organization that I worked with. Three strong, amazing men who all showed up, took their time off of work that day, and helped me move. I didn't
Oh,
ask them to help me move, but they helped me move. And we did it in a very short amount of time. And I felt safe, and I felt supported. And it, it just was unforgettable. So Carl, Steve, and Troy are three men that I will never, ever forget. They were right where I needed them, right at the right time.
three wise men right there.
Yes. Yes.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And I guess we should say that the story does have a happy ending, because you have a beautiful family and husband now, and life has
You.
moved on from that very transitional time.
You are exactly right. Yes. Everything
You
happens
want to
for a reason. And my
you want to
life
share
is.
anything about your family?
I would love to. Yes, I have an amazing husband named Dave who is just one of the greatest humans. You guys got to meet him the last time you were in La
Mhm.
Crosse, and we went out to dinner. He's just a really fabulous human and my biggest supporter. And then I have four beautiful children. Our daughter, who lives in Chicago and works for a marketing firm, and our oldest son, he is in medical school in Milwaukee and just thriving, doing great. Our middle son, he is in school in Eau Claire, and our youngest son is this beautiful free spirit who is a musician and just figuring out life and finding his way. So it's just really a joy to be part of their lives.
Good, good, good. Glad to hear it. So we talked a little bit about the things that brought you into nursing, and we talked a lot about your leadership. So whenever you think of your leaders, the leaders who have helped you along the way, that have mentored you, what what who are those people, and what made them great leaders? What made them great mentors?
Oh man. So when I think about how lucky am I to have experienced so many incredible leaders in my career, and the thing that I know I do is I am a constant surveyor. I constantly am watching how people are leading and performing and behaving. And I love to just take little nuggets of goodness from all sorts of things that I see. And I think that's really helped shape and mold me. So when I think about those people that have impacted my professional career and leaders that have just touched my heart, there are so many. I'd love to just tell you about a few of them. I think about my dear friend who was then a partner. She was the chief operating officer. I was the chief nursing officer. And boy, that woman could take the most complex situation or piece of information or a spreadsheet that would make my eyes go crossed. And she could dissect that and figure it out and make it make sense to everybody around her. And that was such a gift to me. So I studied that and I watched her do that and stole that little nugget from her. So I will always be forever grateful to Monica for that. Then I think about a leader, a hospital president that I had the beautiful opportunity to work for. His name was Bill. And Bill, I would get so frustrated with him because he'd put me in these situations that I would look at him like, why are you asking me to do this? This makes absolutely zero sense. Like, I'll never forget the day I was an OR nurse at the core of who I was. I was the director of the operating room. We were making huge strides. And he said, Heather, we're going to expand your role and you're going to take on labor and delivery. And I was like, what? I'm going to take on labor and delivery. I know nothing about labor and delivery. Well, I know exactly now why Bill did what he did for me and what a gift he gave me. He challenged me. He put me in really uncomfortable positions, but he did that so intentionally. I know exactly why he did that. And now I do that to people all the time when I see greatness in them and I see opportunity for them to grow. So Bill gave me that. I wrote down a few of them. Let me just make sure I've got them all. I think about my beautiful friend, Kathy, who is just this incredible powerhouse of a woman. She worked for Kimberly-Clark, the paper company, and she and I served on a couple boards together. And I remember just being in awe of her, being in awe of her wisdom and her emotional intelligence and the way she presented herself. And here I am, this young person joining these boards for the first time. I don't know how to do this. I don't know what I'm doing. And one day, I don't know what got into me, but I got the courage to just ask her, would you spend time with me? Can I learn from you? And she said yes. And she, to this day, has remained one of my dearest and closest friends. She has filled a place in my life that is just so incredibly special. So I think about that. I think about my current leader, Scott. Scott has taught me trust, unlike anybody has ever taught me trust in my lifetime. He has shown me that we're going to go through some tumultuous things. We're going to get to the other side. It's going to be rough and it's going to be bumpy, but trust me that we're going to get through it. And every single time we have, and he and I have these conversations frequently. And I now know that if he looks at me and just says, trust me on this one, that he is a human that I can absolutely trust with every ounce of my being. And it's really a beautiful feeling to have a professional relationship that you feel that way about somebody. And then the one that is most important to me, I think, from the day of my birth is my dad. And my dad was an executive for a health system, or not for a health system, for the power company. And he taught me by his actions that he had this amazing ability to make everybody and anybody that he was speaking with feel like the absolute most important person in the world. He did it with his kids. He did it with his employees. He did it with his assistant. He did it with people he met on the street. He just had this amazing ability to do that. So I hope that I carry just a little segment of that from my dad. But the list, I could go on for days talking about all the important people. I think about you, Marcus. I think about the amazing work that you do. And I'll never forget, you probably don't even remember this, but the first time I ever made contact with you, I was on a conference, a virtual conference, a gazillion years ago, and I listened to your story and I sent you an email. And I'm sure you get emails from all sorts of up and coming nurses, right? From all over the country, but you answered it and you took the time to talk with me and share your story with me and talk me through your process, and look what's happened. I mean, I just pick up little nuggets from people all the time, and I'm so grateful for that. And I hope that I can give just a little portion of that back to the people that I get the privilege to lead.
Well, I know that you do because I've heard about the triple L
Ah,
focus that you have. And I think this is such a great thing for leaders to learn. And even if you're not a leader, I think the concepts surrounding what you're going to share here, I hope you're going to share,
I would love
will,
to.
yeah, will help to inspire some folks and give them some concrete tools for things that they can do.
Oh, I would love to tell you all about it. So, as we became this new organization, and we have one executive team, but boy, we have some geography that we cover, right? You heard me say we're in 4 states. Like, we've got some geography to cover, and I believe being present and being with the people that actually do the hard work in your health system is the most important role that I have, but it's tricky. And how do you manage that? And how do you figure that out? And we've got executives all over the place. That we're not all in one spot. So we're all over the place. And I sat back and thought about, how can I do this in the region that I lead and figure out a way that people can build relationships with our executives, realize that they're actual human beings and they're really good human beings that really have your best interest at heart. So we put together what we call the triple LLT, and it means learning, listening, and leading together. And it is a rounding schedule. So all of our executives get assigned every quarter a facility, I think 3 or 4 facilities that we all have to attend to every single quarter. Well, what that does for us is offers the opportunity for every single spot. Now, we've got over 100 clinics, we've got 8 hospitals. Like, it's not a small venture to get out and do that. But now every facility gets a visit from an executive every quarter. And it just has made a world of difference. So we spend the time, we go, we talk to the people, we make sure that we're removing barriers for them. We have started our communication board. So we're meeting at these boards and we're seeing the real life issues and the barriers that they're having to getting their work done. And we help solve them right then and there, and making sure that we're removing those little pebbles and rocks and boulders in their shoes that are making it hard for them to spend time with the patients, because that's really the most important job they have.
I love that listening is the first aspect of that. And how do we even know what's going on if we're not taking the time to be present and to listen, or if
Yes.
we're siloed off or sitting in a corner office instead of knowing what's going on, and that simple act of listening to start off the relationship, I think, is kind of the foundation of what a good relationship is, right?
Well, and that's empathy at the core, right?
Hmm.
Is paying attention and listening to what is important to the people that make up this organization, and then providing empathy and love back to those humans to make sure that they feel heard and make sure they understand that what matters to them matters to us, and we are going to make sure that that becomes a priority for us. So we're working really hard at making sure that story is out there and they know, and then actions are taken, and we've put process in place to drive those improvements and make sure it's coming back to them so they can see what's coming, what's happening. Or if we can't do it, be really honest. Like, I hear you, I love your idea, unfortunately we don't have the resources, or maybe there's financial constraints right now that would prevent us from doing that. But be honest with people and tell them the why.
And then you use honesty, you listen, you build trust, and guess what? You get a good organization out of that, right?
Yes.
Well-run
Yes.
organization. So you've been in a bunch of different roles in different organizations and such like that. And here we are at this time of year, Patient Experience Week, Nurses Week, Hospitals Week, et cetera. What are the best ways that you've found as a leader to show appreciation for those who are at the bedside that are doing the roll up your sleeves work, not just nursing, but all across the realm of professions within the hospital. How do you really show appreciation for people?
Yeah, that I love that you're asking me that question because I actually last night was just looking at a social media site that's focused on nursing. And one of the questions that they asked was, what's the worst gift you've ever gotten for Nurses Week? And I was like, oh, ew, that doesn't feel very good. Like that's an unfortunate way to phrase that question. But I do think for me, what I have experienced in my time, it's not about getting something or receiving a gift. What really is the most beautiful thing I've seen is community and time and celebration and acknowledgement. I think it's all of those things. And if if you can figure out a way to just say thank you for the incredible work you do, if that's connecting it back to a patient's story, if that's a handwritten note from somebody that has touched you or impacted your life, or this year we're really excited. We are going to give a gift, and all of our folks are going to get a beautifully embroidered jacket with our new brand name on it. But they can wear it at the bedside and be really proud of the organization that they work for. I just think, and it's not about the gift. It's about, we want to keep you warm and we're going to wrap you in this. And I think the more you can just connect with people as humans and say thank you and realize, I spend more time at work than I do at home. And I want this to be a really great place to work. And I want to be surrounded with people that I feel care deeply about me. And I think that's my responsibility to build that culture here so that everybody feels that exact same way, that they are really valued and important, and every single role in this organization matters. Every single one of them. We can't be successful without our environmental services department. We can't be successful without our dietary department. We certainly can't be successful without our clinicians. But my gosh, the core of what makes this place run is our nurses.
Yeah, backbone of every hospital. It's not just the backbone, though. It's the backbone, the front bone, the top bone, the lower bone. Nurses are the skeleton, makeup of the structure of organizations. And that's why, obviously, my work is around celebrating all across the health professions, but I'm always going to have a tender spot in my heart for nurses, for the care that I received
You
at
and
that
me both.
time. And yeah.
I love that.
So you're
I
talking.
heard it one. Oh, sorry, Marcus.
No.
I
Go
heard it.
ahead.
I just heard it said one time about nurses many, many years ago that it's the one profession in healthcare that touches every other profession in healthcare. So when you think about the role of the nurse, they're the ones that talk to pharmacy every day. They're the ones that talk to the clinicians every day. They talk to the therapy departments every day. They help direct and make sure that spaces are cleaned appropriately. There is not a spot that a nurse's voice doesn't touch in the whole continuum of the holistic care of a patient. And I just think I think about that all the time. So I still, to this day, when I really, really want to get to the core of what is really going on, I just say, go ask a nurse. Go ask a nurse. They'll tell you. They're going to know.
I believe it was AORN a few years ago had a float in the Rose Bowl parade, and it was a octopus that was a nurse, and in each of the
Yes.
tentacles had something going on. And I very much think of that from the example that you just gave there, that you've just got so many arms with so many different things going on, and here's the nurse at the head of everything.
Yes.
So you're talking about work, and you're in your work office today. Is that right?
I
You're at your
am.
place
Yes.
of employment. Okay.
Yes.
So whether it's your work office or it's your home office, what's the coolest thing in your office?
I know exactly what it is.
Okay.
This is good. Now people are going to understand why we're friends, Marcus, because we're both a little goofy at times. But here is the deal. Those things at like car lots. I don't even know what they're called, but they're the big like sock thing that has air that blows through it and the thing waves its arms all over the place. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I am fascinated by those. I don't know why, but if I'm at a stoplight and I could sit at that stoplight and observe the movement of that thing for hours. I'm fascinated by it. Well, somehow that got out to my team here, and I got the most beautiful gift of one of those in my office. So I now have one of those sitting right next to me in my office. So when I may be a little frustrated or feeling like I can't get through something, I just flip the switch and my little whirligig guy gets started and I can clear my brain for a few minutes. But that is right now
I
my most
love
favorite
it.
thing in my office. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love it. You always find out a little bit more about somebody's personality whenever you ask, what's the cool stuff in your office?
There you go. There it is.
How about books on your nightstand right now? What are you reading these days?
Oh man, I am gonna lose the title of this book. Can I look it up? Hold on, let me look it up.
Sure.
I just got this book and it is touching my soul. Hold on. I just sent a picture of it to my girlfriend that recommended it. Here it is. Oh, wait, that's not the title. It is 101 Essays That Will Change the Way You Think by Brianna Wiest, W-I-E-S-T. It is 101 short little essays, and I cannot put this thing down. Every time I just open it to an essay and start reading, it literally speaks to me. So I would highly recommend this book to everybody. 101 Essays That Change the Way You Think. It is a
Love it.
really, really fabulous read.
Love it. Love it. Anything else these days?
What else am I looking at these days? Well, of course, I'm constantly reading healthcare journals, but
Sure.
that's not as fun.
As it
I have
goes,
another one.
as it goes.
Yeah, another one that is a good, easy, quick, just pick up, and you can pick it up wherever you're at, wherever you leave off, is called Heart Talk. That's another great read that just continues to inspire me. Actually, I just did that 2 days ago and flipped open right before we did our brand announcement. And the page I flipped it open to says, "Real leaders lead with love." And it goes on and talks about leading with empathy. And I thought, like, if that was not some sort of divine intervention telling me to open to that page as we just launched our new Emplify brand, it was pretty telling. So I would say those are the two right now that I am spending the most time in.
Nice, nice, nice. And so I guess my last question for you then is, if you could have the world's largest billboard on the world's tallest mountain, what is the message that you would like to proclaim to humanity?
Oh my gosh. I am going to stick with something so cliche and so simple, but something I just believe so firmly in, and that is that kindness matters. And it's not hard. It's not hard to be kind, and it's not weak to be kind, and it's good to be kind. And you can get a lot of work done by being kind versus the alternative. So I think that is my motto in life and the thing I just want to remember as I continue to navigate my journey. So
I
kindness
love
matters.
that. I love that. And I'm focused in on what you said there. It's not weak to be kind. It's not weak to be kind, especially when, if you read a little Brene Brown, you know that especially men in our society are taught never show any kind of weakness, never show any kind of vulnerability. And yet it's not weak to be kind. It's
Yes.
it's
I think
really who we are as humans.
so true. I wear this necklace very, very regularly, and it is a beautiful charm that was given to me by a group of incredible friends that I have, and it's Florence Nightingale. And whenever times get tough for me, I actually have worn out a spot of this charm because I rub it so frequently
Mm,
when I'm finding myself in situations. But when I think about Florence and I think about as a female in the time doing what she did and how she navigated the workplace for females, it's awe-inspiring to me. And
mm,
I'm just so grateful for how many women have broken glass ceilings for us along the way,
yeah,
which I just hope I can continue to do that.
absolutely. You are very much. Before we go to, I wanted to give you an opportunity to promote anything that you're doing, any organizations or philanthropy work that you're involved with. I know that you are on the board for the Special Olympics, right?
Oh, I love that you're asking me that. Yes, of course. I am very, very engaged with Special Olympics Wisconsin. My very dear friend accepted the CEO position there a bit ago and asked me to serve on the board. And again, it was one of those things that I was like, oh, I don't know if am I going to have time? Am I going to be able to commit to this in the way I should commit to this? And holy cow, am I so grateful that I said yes to that opportunity. I have met the most incredible human beings through this organization. Part of serving on the board is that you get assigned an athlete mentor to help make sure you understand why we do the work we do and what's important about that work. And I am lucky enough to have gotten assigned two mentors because our district is pretty large and we wanted full representation. So I have met these two women, Heather and Sarah are their names, who have just become incredibly important people in my life and keep me so grounded and focused on what really matters in life. And um, anything that we can do as people that have the means to support and to give, when you see what that organization does for these individuals that have intellectual disabilities that are really just trying to make their way in this world, and what Special Olympics has done for them as athletes is so much more than the sport. It's so much more than that. It has taught them health. It has taught them relationship skills. It has taught them how to compete as kind humans and be good humans, but also to work hard for your goals and figure out how to get there. And it just has been one of the most moving things that I've participated with in my entire lifetime. We actually, at Gunderson, the team here has just rallied around Special Olympics too, and we just participated in the polar plunge for the second year in a row. We had a large amount of plungers this year. We raised over $10,000, which was really fantastic for the organization. But we all jumped into the Mississippi River and it was cold, but we
I
did it.
imagine
So fun. So much
Wisconsin
fun.
cold is different than Florida cold.
Yeah, it sure is. It sure is. Every time I do it, I keep thinking, why am I doing this? And then I take a look around and realize I know exactly why I'm
That's
doing this.
why.
So it's really important.
That's why. Wow. And that seems like a great place for us to wrap today because we remember our why. We remember
Yeah.
why we do this. We come back to this work because ultimately our goal at the end of the day is to help ease human suffering. And I know you've done a lot of that in your career as a nurse and now in your role as a leader. And Heather, I just can't thank you enough for spending some time with me today and just for being the person that you are.
Oh, thank you, Marcus. Before we leave, can I just share one more
Yeah,
interesting little
please.
story with you? This is something that just happened. And as I think this is such an important message for nurses throughout the country, as you think about the role that you play and how much your nursing leaders care about you. I get the opportunity today to partner with one of the most incredible chief nursing officers. Her name is Andrea Hauser. Andrea was just at a conference and she sent me a text and it literally brought me to tears as I was reading this text from her. It said they took a poll at this conference of all these CNOs from all over the country. And it said, what is your next career aspiration? What's your next job you want? And the options were consultant, COO, CEO, all the boom, 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 boom. What's your next step? And this incredible CNO that I get to partner with and work with every single day raised her hand and said, the option that I would pick is not an option that you have listed. And they said, oh, well, tell us what that is. And she said, I can't wait to end my career as a bedside nurse. And the whole room looked at her like, what? And she said, what a shame if I am not working so hard to build a world that I want to practice in as I go out in my professional career. And I think that was the most beautiful thing I have heard in such a long time. So I hope that all of our nurses that are becoming and figuring out this beautiful profession understand the pride that those of us that are working to make the world a better place for you every single day, that is exactly what we're doing. So I just think that story is really telling and amazing at the core. You never lose at the core of who you are as a nurse, and you want to make that the world just a better place for the people that are providing that hands-on care.
What a testimony. What a testimony. It's great. Well, Heather, thank you again so much for being with me today. And listeners, thank you for being part of this episode of Compassion and Courage, Conversations in Healthcare. I'm your host, Marcus Engel, and this is the podcast where we teach compassionate communication, provide perspective, and inspire resilience. I want to thank everyone for your comments and your shares and your subscriptions and all those social media interaction tools. Thank you all so much. And we will see you next time on the next episode of Compassion and Courage. In the meantime, nurses, please have a wonderful, wonderful Nurses Week. And remember that we love you. Appreciate you all.